So Niigaaniin wants to meet you where you are. No door is the wrong door. It just depends where you are on your journey and what your goals are. Our people helping our people is what I think is really important. No one really understands our perspective unless you've been there. And I don't necessarily mean Anishinaabe people are the only ones who can help other Anishinaabe people, but I feel like you have to have a really good understanding of who we are and where we are, because I think that's critical.
300 years ago, our lives were, for a very long time, our lives and our political lives, our cultural lives, our social lives, like everything has been completely upended, turned around, upside down. What would we have done? Who would we have become? What would in those 300-400 years, what would our political systems look like? How would we have, grown, expanded, changed, moved, adapted? And that's why I always challenge people when they're like, oh, this is how it's always been done. And I go, yeah, but our people adapted constantly. Like, we used to shift with the seasons. Like, being Anishinaabe meant changing and adapting because, we were on the land. You couldn't be so static. That's how, communities died, essentially. It wasn't until the morning of the residential school honoring ceremony where we were doing ceremony and we went to our sweats. Like, we did some things where, I actually got to figure out what it means to live a spiritual life, or what it means to live a cultural life, and the difference between that. And that was a really cool thing to get out.
I'm speaking about Mino Bimaadizidaa because I'm so passionate about it. And it's something that's very familiar because it's something I'm involved in right now. But like I said, I have been a part of employment services, financial services, and Anishinaabe and Kijik. But I think Mino is the hugest impact because it's holistic, because it truly is helping people to look at those parts that they maybe didn't want to look at. I always say that to my group members, that it's so easy when we think about the medicine wheel and think about ourselves, that we can make a list of things in the physical aspect much more easily than we can make a list of things where we need some growth and healing in the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects. I never knew holistic. I never knew those 4 parts of my being. All I looked at was who I was, and sometimes mental things because, struggling with, different challenges of depression or anxiety or something. I was able to look at those things and I knew they were there, but I didn't want to go there. You don't want to talk about those things. Those are challenging. If I have to talk about those, then feelings are going to get triggered, right? Emotions are going to come up. And if it was tough the first time around, it's going to be tough the second time around to feel those again. So I think that's why people don't look at those aspects, because it's painful. It's painful to go back to those emotional and mental wounds, things that have impacted us. So we try to avoid them. Let's focus on the physical. Let's focus on me and how I'm eating, or what my weight is, or what I look like. Those are the easiest things, and we don't want to touch on those other parts. But when you're involved in a program like Mino Bimaadizidaa, it gives you an opportunity to look at all of those things, to recognize what your strengths are, and to recognize the things that need work. And then it's done in a safe environment. It's done in a supportive environment. And you get to hear from community members and your peers who have similar struggles, and that we leave behind that stigma of being shameful for the things that we've experienced. And we gain strength from each other's stories, and it gives us the confidence to be able to share our own, and that's where the healing occurs. So I think us having it in this group format as opposed to one-on-one is such a strength. So like I said, it's just such an amazing opportunity for people to be involved in this programming. And I really think that we need to get it out there more to our community members, so that they they're not missing out on that opportunity to know and to be who they're supposed to be, who Creator intended.
So what is Niigaaniin? Niigaaniin is the best kept secret on the North Shore. What I mean when I say that is when you hear Niigaaniin, people often think about financial assistance. And it's so much more than that. We should be close to the top of your phone call list when you're having trouble. You can call your Niigaaniin manager in your home community, and they might be able to help. They have access to transitional support funds or emergency funding to take care of those needs so you don't do without. And that is something that's little known about Niigaaniin, is how we can help not just people on assistance, but people who need help.
Ani Bojo, Miigwanabique Dao, Jessica Jonias, Dejagana Shi Noswan, Alwan, Adik Dodem, Vijikaning Don Jaba, Anishna Bemwa Nekno Mage Dao, Mampi Niigaaniin Nanjanaki Tagea. Nuit Debatan Enan Kiang, Mampi Niigaaniin, we Jabi Toang Dinownina. Gegetsina da Piten da Nanin, Dinownina, Mina Nishnabe Odsoin. Greetings everyone, my name is Jessica Shonias and I'm the Anishinaabe 1 teacher here at Niigaaniin, and I would like to talk about how the language is important and how we value and use that here at Niigaaniin. Anishinaabe 1, our language, is integral to who we are as Anishinaabe people. It's our sense of identity and also a sense of pride. Many of the problems that we face in our communities today are due to the intergenerational trauma and effects of how that language was stripped from our people through residential schools and other assimilationist policies. So when we reclaim our language, we're healing, and that healing is giving us the strength and foundation to go out into the world and succeed. Niigaaniin recognizes the importance of that language, and this is why we incorporate it in our day-to-day dealings at work. We're investing in our team to learn the language so that they may pass that knowledge on to the community members. The community members, in turn, are being offered curriculum and services in their native language, which is so sorely missing in mainstream settings. They feel seen, heard, understood, and safe when they hear or learn the language that they may have heard being spoken to them as they were growing up by their parents or their grandparents. The excitement and eagerness among our staff and community members to learn and even just be exposed to the language, it's strong, it's there, and it's palpable. The language is something that's missing, and we have to recognize that it's at threat for being extinct. So we're doing the work here to decolonize and to begin to reverse the effects of our shared dark history and ultimately to heal. Language helps each and every one of us to learn, heal, and grow. Ich bin Winda Kendaman, Waja Kidyan, Eshnakazian, and Jabayan, Wenish Eawian Ge, Wasmo Bimo Shinma, Jessica@Niigaaniin.com. What I just said there is if you'd like to learn how to introduce yourself in the language, send me an email. Use the heading Teach Me Language. My email is jessica@Niigaaniin.com. Miigwech.